Bob, I'm wondering if you could tell us how you got started in voice acting.
Oh, okay. I got started in voice acting. I originally started off as a musician. I played tuba, still do, and I was working the summer of 1982 subbing in the Disneyland Band, and a friend of mine in talent booking called me up to his office between sets and said they were looking for a brass quintet to play in the Canada Pavilion at Epcot, which was getting ready to open. Did the audition for my friends from school at Cal State Long Beach. We moved off to Florida after we won the audition. While I was in Florida, I started exploring voiceover work, and there was a guy named Bob Barnes who had a production company, but he also he was also a voice talent, and he was an on-camera guy too. And he kind of took me under his wing, and it was something I'd always was always interested in. I knew who Stan Freberg was, who Paul Frees was, who June Foray, all the greats, from my childhood. I knew who they were before I could tell you who the presidents of the United States were. And I loved their voices, and I would, imitate them all the time. And finally, I had a place that I could start, doing that. And Florida was my training ground for that. Moved back to Los Angeles, and my first job, I moved back in 1993. My first job was for Disney, doing the voice of Sneezy for Snow White on Ice. And I still get to do Sneezy from time to time. So that was how I started, and I worked while trying to be a voice actor in the early days in the 90s. I worked as a music copyist in the studios, and in those days, computers were not quite there yet, so we were still using manuscript paper and pen and ink and a straight edge and drawing little black dots for recording sessions for TV and movies. It was a lot of fun. I got to work with a lot of great composers and a lot of great people who are still friends today.
But you said something really interesting. Are you a musician at all?
I am. I'm a keyboard player.
Voiceover is all music. Whether you're speaking it or singing it or playing it on a tuba or whatever, it's all music. It's all notes. Do you ever make, when you're in a session, you have like little pauses that you want to do and want to make that a little more legato, a little more staccato? Do you make like kind of musical notations on your scripts?
I do. I put crescendos and decrescendos for if I want it louder, get it softer.
It's all music.
Yeah, it's, and every once in a while I'll start drawing little notes here and there, and people look at it and go, "What's that for?" I was bored. But it's harder now because they use a lot of iPads with everything as a PDF.
They hate it when you take a Sharpie and draw on the iPad, I find out. Really hate that.
And getting the whiteout off of it is just...
Well, that's the old joke about how do you know a blonde's been using your computer? Well, there's whiteout on the screen. Wah, 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 wah. That's not my joke. I'm just saying that some horrible person once told me that. Awful joke.
He's here all week, ladies and gentlemen. Tip the veal, try the waitress.